Roosevelt High School alums create a film to prompt talks about race and education. It probably was intended purely as creative expression, but today it holds potent symbolism. When Roosevelt High School students designed their 1968-69 yearbook, on the title page and on each of 6 section introduction layouts, they paired 2 versions of a large photo, the first appearing conventionally, and the second in a reversed negative format, as in this week's Then. Thus, in the first version, the faces of students at the largely white North End School appeared as just that, largely white. In the reversed version, the faces became dark. It was the first year in which Seattle Public Schools implemented its voluntary racial transfer program, an effort to avoid litigation over a perceived failure to integrate schools as mandated by the famous 1954 Supreme Court decision that struck down separate but equal education. As shown in Roosevelt's 1969 yearbook, the program had a relatively small but visible impact there. Of 1,865 students, about 75, 4%, were people of color, many bused from southern neighborhoods. One of those was Leah Vaughn, a biracial sophomore whose parents, father black, mother white, chose for her to bus from the Central District near Washington Park to highly regarded Roosevelt and back. Vaughn, a retired attorney and Emerita University of Washington law professor, is at the core of a grassroots nonprofit, Roosevelt Alumni for Racial Equity, RARE, formed via Zoom during the national upheaval over the 2020 murder of George Floyd. With a 21-member multi-ethnic board, RARE provides scholarships for students of color and has produced an engaging half-hour documentary, Roosevelt High School Beyond Black and White, which aired twice this year on KCTS TV and is available online. With historical data and footage, along with provocative observations from 20 alums, educators, and present-day students, the film seeks to stimulate difficult discussions about race and education. Interviewees conclude that despite Seattle's efforts at voluntary, then mandatory, busing, racial equity in city schools remains elusive. They also characterize a perceived Seattle nice as performative, not reformative, and address the baked-in effects of racist covenants and redlining in real estate sales and rentals that the city finally upended in 1968. Startling is a 1936 Kroll map that codes areas of Seattle as green, best, blue, still desirable, yellow, definitely declining, and pink, hazardous. Today, Vaughn lives in a Ballard neighborhood that her family would have been disallowed to inhabit when she was young. But she asserts, "I think because we used busing as the Band-Aid to not face redlining, we never really dealt with it." Clearly, the complexities of race bolster the longtime name of Roosevelt's yearbook, Strenuous Life. In our first Then photo, positive and reversed negative images from the title page of the 1969 Roosevelt High School yearbook show students on the school's front walkways. In our second Then photo, a 1936 Kroll map color-coded areas of Seattle as green, best, blue, still desirable, yellow, definitely declining, and pink, hazardous. Today, in white logo t-shirts, leaders of Roosevelt Alumni for Racial Equity, RARE, along with other alums and supporters, gather during the school's centennial celebration. They are, front row from left, Tammy Brewer, new principal, Leah Vaughn, video lead. RARE co-chairs Tony Allison and Joe Hunter. Les Young, Alan Bergano, Robin Bailey Ogburn, Christy Blake, Layla Salmasi, Robin Lang, Bruce Johnson, Jane Harris Nellums, Michelle Osborne, Greg Blodgett, Tim Hennings, Hillary Moore, Jude Fisher, Steve Fisher, and Bruce Williams. Back row from left, Neha Brown, Catherine Bailey, Doug Cito, David Kirsten, Dwayne Covey, John Richards, Cynthia Mahea Gedici, Carol Hafar, John Vallett, Brooks Kolb, Doug Whalley, Janet Sage Whalley, Leslie Fixo Newell, Delos Ransom, Chris Day, Michael Bogan, and Kim Peterson. RARE is open to Roosevelt alumni, students, and supporters. For more info and to see the documentary film, visit RHS4 racialequity.org.
Probably shorter people in front?
No, I want you all across. Yeah, we all. How far over here can we go?